Hey guys, I'm Aaron from Finctum Languages, and this video is the story of two language learners who saw huge gains in their progress after they participated in the 30-day Record Yourself Challenge, which is a challenge I created specifically to get language learners speaking the language that they want to learn, and to get people speaking as early as possible. And that goes along with the philosophy I've sort of put forth on this channel, that is, you shouldn't spend all of your time studying the language that you're trying to learn, studying rules, memorizing grammar, going over charts and tables and verb conjugations and noun declensions, but you should spend more time actually using the language. And the 30-day Record Yourself Challenge is a great way to start using the language, especially early on when you don't know a whole lot of the language you're trying to learn. So if you're interested in that, I'll link to some free resources in the description below this video. And otherwise, enjoy the stories.
Hello everybody, hey Aliupa, hola todos. My name is Elizabeth Hilton and I was asked by Aaron, thank you Aaron, to come on and to share my story about how the 30-day Record Yourself Challenge helped me in my language learning journey. So first, a little about me. My name is Elizabeth Hilton and I have a travel and language blog called Adventures in Fluency. And pretty much for the last 12 years, my hobby and what I write about in my blog is that I choose a destination and then I spend the year before traveling to that destination learning the language. And what I have found is that when you travel, you learn so much about the culture and you're able to make deeper and more meaningful connections with people when you learn the language of the destination that you travel to. And so my hope is through my blog, I inspire others to do the same. So in keeping with that, my latest destination was going to be Sweden. My son, who plays soccer, his team was invited to participate in the Gothia Cup in Gothenburg, Sweden. So naturally, we chose Sweden as our destination for summer of 2020. I booked the accommodations, bought the plane tickets, and started the fall before our trip, studying Swedish. Well, we all know what happened in 2020, the pandemic. And so San Francisco had a shelter in place. So I was working from home. My son was working from home, or was going to school from home. Everybody was home. And of course, Gothia Cup was canceled. And so rather than being, sad and disappointed, I actually, the word we use now is pivoted. And so I realized that I could actually have a whole extra year to learn Swedish. And I looked for more opportunities and more ways to help me learn, improve, and practice my Swedish and take it to the next step. So I stumbled across Aaron's 30-day language challenge and decided to give it a try. But because I'm completely insane, it wasn't good enough to just do it in Swedish. I had to add another language because what I do for my day job is I'm a public defender. And if you guys know anything about public defenders, we work really, really, really hard. But the public defender's office in San Francisco in particular, we are one of the only public defender offices in all of the United States that has an immigration unit, which means that not only do we represent indigent clients in criminal court, but we also represent indigent clients in detention centers, in immigration court here in California. And during the pandemic as well, many of the detention centers were badly hit by the COVID-19 virus, and people were getting sick, and immigration wasn't doing anything to keep people safe. So our office filed a class action lawsuit and to try to get people out of immigration custody who were waiting to be deported or to have their immigration hearings. And we actually were successful in that class action suit. And the federal judge requested that we file individual bail motions for every single one of the affected detainees. And many of these detainees speak Spanish. So Spanish is another language that I had learned on my trips to Costa Rica and to Barcelona, but my Spanish was rusty. And so the way, because we were all working from home, the way that we would do the bail motions is the clients would call us from detention centers and we would get the information from them and then put it in our motions to try to get them released. And so many of those detainees, because they were Spanish speaking, I volunteered to do those motions so that I could assist in getting people, trying to get people released. So I decided I also needed to do a refresher course on my Spanish. So my 30-day language challenge was to record myself speaking in Swedish and in Spanish for 30 days. And it was interesting. At first, I felt very like I had to look things up, memorize them, or I was worried about getting things wrong. And then sort of about halfway through the challenge, I really started to just look at it as an opportunity to just try myself, just to try it and wing it. Because what I realized is when I thought I had made horrid mistakes or I'd gotten something wrong, I would watch the video and I would fine. Those mistakes weren't as huge as I thought they were. So it really gave me confidence and great biofeedback. And it was also really interesting to constantly be switching back and forth between two languages, because I think it's almost like a mental brain floss. It helps keep the language clean. So it was incredibly helpful. And just as a postscript, one of the young men that I did the bail motion for, although we weren't able to get him released because of the pandemic, we were able to successfully represent him in his asylum case, and he got out and he's now home living with his family and his brand new baby. So it was really great to be able to speak Spanish with him and to hear his story, which eventually led him to be released and home with his family during the pandemic. And I'm still learning Swedish, and fingers crossed the Gothia Cup will be rescheduled again for 2021, and I'm gonna be just that much more fluent when I go. Plus, I can have the time to refresh my Spanish, and next month, because I'm completely insane, I already told you this, I'm doing my 30-day challenge in Swedish and French. Thinking Turkish next, maybe Greek. I really need to refresh my Vietnamese. Anyway, that's the story. If you want to read more about my adventures in fluency, check out the blog, adventuresinfluency.com. Thanks for listening. And Aaron, thank you so much for inviting me to share my story.
Hi everyone, my name is Mus. I have recently completed the 30-day Record Yourself Beginner's Language Challenge in Turkish. I have previously tried this challenge twice before and failed. However, if you would like to see the 30 videos that I recorded in Turkish, you can follow my channel on Dreaming of Fluency. This challenge has been really, really beneficial for a bunch of reasons. Firstly, it actually really helps you get acquainted with what actually your level in speaking is. You might actually be in quite an advanced level in a language class or in a theory or written sense, or you, like myself, may have completed Turkish Duolingo. But speaking is a different element, different beast, so this really helps you get acquainted with how good your actual speaking level is. Secondly, it's really been beneficial for me because I'm living in Turkey now. I've been living here for a few months, and I really need to get very fluent in Turkish very quickly, because like I initially underestimated how little English people speak here. It's been difficult. I've initially struggled to even answer "How are you?" because because of the way that the Turkish language works. The verbs sort of end. They finish in the end of the sentence, and it's a little bit like Hungarian, if that helps you get it in perspective, because all the words kind of attach onto each other. So when people would say hello, how are you? You have to say iyiyim, which is kind of like good, I am. And it just took me a few times to process how I'm actually using this language. And so the 30-day challenge really helped me figure out how to put the words in order in my brain. When I arrived in Turkey, I had to speak from the get-go. Like I said, I had finished Duolingo Turkish, and I had done about 60 hours of a Turkish online course with a class. So while I was not confident in basic Turkish, I had been exposed to the concepts of basic Turkish more than a few times. So I knew how to say I am going here. I knew present continuous and I knew past tense. But just having the words come out of your mouth correctly and on time is a completely different experience. But yeah, even on day one, I hadn't even left the airport yet, and somebody was trying to help me with my luggage. He was asking me where I was going, did I have transport, how long I was there, where I was from, and I said, no, I have to wait because I'm waiting for people to come and I'm waiting for my luggage. And he's like, how many luggage? So it tested like everything I had learned in a little 10-20 minute encounter. And even later that day, once we checked into the hotel was good because there was some people who could speak English. But when I had to go and buy dinner and I had to go and find some groceries, everything was just in Turkish. And it was kind of neat because at the time and still, you have to wear face masks around the city outside here. So people can't really tell where you're from. So they will start and address you first in Turkish. So I just tried to follow along. I went to a restaurant and he's like, hey, what do you want? I'm like, oh, can I have this, please? And he's like, yeah, no problem. And so I was able to sort of pretend that I was Turkish while at the same time revising a lot of stuff. Like I forgot what half a kilo was. So I asked somebody for 500 grams of something and he looked really confused. He was like, do you mean half a kilo? Like he was just like, why wouldn't you just say that instead? But he didn't know that I didn't speak Turkish. So I was like, oh yeah, that's what I mean. And I never forgot it after that. So yeah, I really would like to be a part of the society I live in right now. So I would like to start to read books in Turkish. I would like to be able to watch and listen to the news and attend events that are not necessarily in English. So I kind of need to get better at Turkish quickly. I with the 30-day challenge, I feel like the sound of Turkish feels much more natural coming out of my mouth, and it sounds more natural when I hear it as well. And I can say a few things, like I can ask questions, but sometimes when the response comes, I'm really stumped. I have no idea what that means. So when it comes to longer sentences and describing stuff, I still need a lot of work, but I really feel positive about my level thanks to this challenge and thanks to the practice that I've been doing. So I hope that, this time next year, maybe, I'll be able to just record stuff in Turkish completely. Who knows? Anyway, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Aaron, for this opportunity to share my experiences. Yeah.